Today we're going to talk about an extremely effective tactic for finding and catching fall crappies. Now I just got back from a trip with Joel Nelson. Water temperatures were in the mid-50s and we were finding a lot of crappies in that in-between depth, somewhere between that shoreline area or the weed lines where they like to hang out in summer and the deeper basin wintering holes. We were able to catch a boatload of crappies in these areas, and it's really a fairly simple tactic that I would say is extremely underused. Now, I actually had Joel break down this tactic on camera, but I have a little bit of technical issues with those clips, so I'm just gonna do a quick run through of what jig trolling is, just some of the basics, and later in this video, Joel is gonna break down more specific tips. But essentially what jig trolling is it's super simple. It's just like trolling cranks, but with jigs, of course. And so all you do is you cast out, kick your boat into gear and troll along at 0.7 to 1.0 miles an hour. Jig size, trolling speed, the amount of line you have out, and the line type will impact how deep your jig runs in the water column. And you're gonna wanna pay attention to your electronics as well. The higher those fish are riding in the water column, the higher you're gonna wanna run your baits. Now, this is a really, really fun tactic, and it's really great for covering water and catching fish. And I had a lot of fun sharing the boat with Joel, and now I'm gonna pass it off to Joel for some extra info on jig trolling.
So the cool part about this bite is you do have to work a little bit for it, and you have to kind of experiment. If you're a crankbait troller, if you like dragging cranks behind the boat, experimenting with different depths, different colors, sizes, shapes, jig trolling is for you, because what we're doing right now is we're trying to find the optimal speed with the optimal lure size and the optimal color given where the crappies are right now. Now here we are just a little bit before dark. As we get later and later into the evening, it's super predictable. You'll see fish start towards the bottom. They're feeding on bloodworms and all those things coming off. But as those invertebrates start rising and making their way off bottom, you'll see the fish go and continually rise their depth. And the higher they get in the water column, the lighter the lure you gotta drag, and typically the more tuned up and ready to eat they are.
Like Joel said, make sure you're paying attention to your electronics, keeping an eye on where those fish are, and adjust appropriately. It's a really, really fun tactic once you get the hang of it.
Super satisfying, that thump of a crappie. It's absolutely unmistakable. Literally your jig's going along, nothing's going down, and all of a sudden, thunk, you can literally feel that jig smack the back of their throat. That's a nicer little fish. Normally I'd net them, but we've caught a lot of fish tonight, and like I said, you can literally feel that jig smacking the back of their throat, the top of their mouth, and look how well he has that thing ate. I mean, just buries that thing. Absolutely just smashed this bait. And a lot of people think, you know, it's a pretty large size bait for crappie, but when you're going after nicer fish like this is what you want to be running. And I think, you know, especially as it gets darker, that spinner, it makes a difference. It helps these fish find it. See you later, buddy.
Speaking of lures, here's a few of Joel's favorite jig trolling options.
So there's a lot of baits that would work really well in this application. Basically, it's any jig and plastic combination. You don't even necessarily need plastic. Sometimes you could pull meat, but you need a jig as kind of the foundation for this presentation. And a couple of my favorite jigs are definitely the Mimic Minnow Shad. This bait right here is awesome because of the boot tail on it. I've got a buddy that works at Joe's Sporting Goods, and they sell more of these than you can even imagine. Literally, they go through card after card of these because they are just so effective for multi-species and especially for crappies in this game. And then the thumper jig is another one of my favorites. This is really good in murky water. It's got that little spinner on the bottom, and it kicks off just a little bit of extra vibration that really makes it easy for these crappies to find the bait in the water. And a new addition that I'm really excited about is this deep V jig. They make it down into a 1/16 of an ounce, and that's really a perfect size when you're talking crappies. And you can tip it with any of the impulse plastics, you can tip it with live bait. But the cool part about the deep V jig is it does have that keel. It's got that narrowed bottom portion of the head that makes it really effective at tracking straight. So it's gonna be a great jig for you while you're being able to just pull it behind the boat, ripping it a little bit. It's gonna run straight, it's gonna run true, and it's really the perfect jig head design for this presentation.
Now this might be one of Joel's favorite deep water crappie tactics, but crappies aren't the only species of fish that love munching jigs.
You know, the cool part about this technique too is it's definitely multi-species appeal. What doesn't eat a jig, right? And Northland makes a ton of jigs, so you got just a million different options. You can fish them heavy, drag them closer to the bottom, you're gonna get more of those walleyes. You can fish them higher, catch more crappies. So definitely a technique I look forward to using all summer long into the fall.
Now, as you can see, we did end up sticking a few bonus eater-sized walleyes while we were trolling jigs for crappies, but I will say that was not the only incidental that we ended up catching that evening. Our buddy Aaron ended up sticking a big mouth buffalo. Now, I'm guessing there's probably not a lot of big mouth buffalo fans that are watching this right now, but personally, for me, I love them. And I like them for a few reasons. They fight real good, they can get enormous, giants, and they're actually not even a carp. Now they sort of look like a carp, but they're actually part of the sucker family, which is pretty cool, and they're native to this area. So I personally love big mouth buffalo, but I know most of you don't, so we're gonna get back to the crappie content.
All right, here we go. Crappie time, Joel. Netman's holding the camera, so scoop it right there. And this super nice chunky crappie might actually be the smallest one we've caught so far. A thumper jig there, kind of pulling down my pants, but look at that beautiful fish. Unreal, clean and just super, super chunky. Big bodied on Joel's secret lake. Well, that about closes it up for our evening. You know, we're still catching fish. I still see some actually on the graph right now, but you know, fall is a great time to catch fish jig trolling. It's a popular time to fish for crappies anyway. And when you have fish that are scattered out like we have right now, and as it gets closer to evening and they start rising up the depth column, feeding them a steady supply of jigs that are lighter and lighter and lighter as you go towards the evening is a recipe for success. So if it's fall and there's crappies to be caught, that's what you'll catch me doing.
I personally have not done a lot of jig trolling in the past, but Joel has done a ton of it. And jumping in the boat with him and catching a bunch of fish doing it, I now have a lot more confidence in it. And yeah, it's just an extremely underutilized tactic because you're covering water and you get bites, and the jigs are out away from the boat, and I believe that helps you get more bites as well. So that's something I'll be utilizing more in fall, right now when the fish are starting to move off of structure and towards their wintering haunts, but also in summer when they're out on the deep weed lines. I know that Joel uses it a lot during that time of year. But yeah, if you're from the upper Midwest, you know that we've had some cold weather and ice is just around the corner, so stay tuned. We've got a lot more videos to come, and you know, I will say probably some of the next ones here will be on ice. So stay tuned for that, and until next time, we'll see you then.